So my last question would be, just looking at the list of folks on the call, so many friendly faces. We have VPs of revenue ops for very global scale. We've got directors of IT. We have VPs of sales ops, directors of sales ops. We have Salesforce architects on the call. I mean, really quite a wide range of folks. If there's one tip, and just so that, perhaps somebody on a RevOps team or a sales ops team can take away in this very, very critical job function of prepping board metrics. Lauren, it seems like benchmarks and sort of weaving that into the tail, and that's what OpExEngine does so well, might be one of yours, but I won't steal your thunder. Kate, do you want to share?
Sure. So we've already talked about clearing your schedule, being ready for this. I mean, people would know in my company if when board, like David, just as you mentioned, what you see is other people in the company would know when it's board slide creation time, because we would just say, we would clear our schedules. And if anyone had a hot burning request, we'd be like, it's board, we have to work on the board slides. We'll get to it if we can, but it's really clearing your schedule. But for the other, VPs of RevOps, or who's, ultimately owning the slides for sales or marketing, whatever position you're in, is bring in your team. This is a great path of promotion for them. It's good to get them involved early and have them see what it's like. It really makes them feel like they're part of the process. So I would highly encourage the more people on your team you can help with the different sections of this, the earlier. It's just, I think it's worked out really well for me in my career, is pulling people in to help with this and really making them feel like they have impact and they're involved. And then, they end up becoming like real all-stars on your team, because they have the insight, they know what it's like. And, my boss did that for me. I was in my first board meeting a couple of years ago, and it just gives you a different perspective. And then when you build, you just think differently. So then even if you can't get them in the board meeting, you get them in the C-level meeting and you have them do some presentations so that they can start building their way up. And really, it just, there's a switch that goes off in your mind when you start working on board slides, when you've been very tactical at the business level, that can really help excel some people forward. So that is, what I would recommend, other than clearing your schedule, because that needs to be.
Oh gosh, I love that. I'll be teaching our Salesforce admin class next week through the week, and our reporting class 2 weeks from now. And something that I've always shared is, if you're preparing metrics, ask to sit in the meeting. Now, sometimes you can't sit in a board meeting, but even for a leadership team, if you're preparing metrics, if you can sit, like a fly on the wall in the corner, just listen in, you learn so much about the context for those metrics. So I really like that idea of including everyone, and then sharing that story around the creation of the metrics. So Lauren, what can you share with us?
So besides benchmarks, which obviously I've dedicated a lot of time to that, and I think it's really important, I think it's really just having the discipline as a company to once a year sit down and say, here's the definition of the metrics, and then not change them, so that when Kaitlin and her team and the finance organization, you have to define what's a customer. Is General Electric one customer, or is it 20 customers because they have all these different divisions? Is McDonald's one customer, or is it 3,000, or Walmart or whatever? Is Europe the same customer as the US? All those kind of questions. You just pick an answer and stick with it, so that Kaitlin's not trying to adjust. Okay, how come this is in one area and not? Net retention rate, do you include, expansion or not? Just make a decision. Are customers lapsed if they didn't pay on the exact date? If they paid a week later, is that a renewal, or is that a lost customer who was, returned? Just make a decision and stick with it, because you can't be doing all that when you're preparing for the board meeting. And then you can change it next year.